welcome to Gold Digger TV, where we celebrate men and women building their own millions. I'm your host, Tina Lee Jones, and today we have a wonderful guest by the name of Ash Cash. He is a motivational speaker, an author, entrepreneur, and just a great guy. Ash, thank you so much for joining us here on Gold Digger TV.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, and so now let me just get straight to it. You have such a plethora of knowledge when it comes to financial literacy.
Yes.
Where did this come from? Was it a turning point in your childhood, in your teens, growing up? Where did this plethora of literacy come from? Where did it start?
So it's a combination of my upbringing, my street smarts, and what I've done in corporate America in banking. So I've been a banking professional for 15 years. I've done everything in banking, from a teller, personal banker, private banker, branch manager. My last position in banking, I was the CEO of a credit union in Long Island City, Queens. So I have a lot of knowledge in financial literacy, how finance works. But prior to that, I grew up in the St. Nicholas houses in Harlem, New York City. So I'm a guy who grew up low income. Typical story, single parent home. My father wasn't around, so my mom raised myself and two other siblings. And I've always been a hustler. I've always been an entrepreneur. 9 years old, working at the local supermarket, packing bags. From 12 years old, working on 125th Street, selling CDs, T-shirts, and mixtapes and whatever. So I've been a hustler all my life. Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. So really, growing up low income and not having access to capital, and understanding how it is to not have money, and then doing some great things in banking and seeing that other side is where I get my knowledge from, and that's why I'm passionate about helping people change their mindset about how they look at their finances.
Wow. Okay. Wonderful. You mentioned that you grew up in Harlem, St. Nicholas Projects.
Yes.
And that's where you received your PhD.
My PhD.
Your PhD.
Absolutely.
Now, can you tell Gold Digger TV and the audience what classes you had to take in order to get that PhD?
So I got my PhD from the School of Hard Knocks, and my PhD is my public housing degree, and it's something that has taken me a long way, because a lot of times people look at their upbringing and they wish that things would be different, and I wouldn't change a thing about where I come from, because I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly very early. So when I got into corporate America, I was able to become successful rather quickly, because I've come from a place where the worst thing that could happen, you could die, right? So I've seen, and not glorifying it, but I've seen a dead body at 12 years old. I've seen what a dead body looks like live and direct, and So going into corporate America, and the worst thing that could happen is you could get fired. It's like, all right, so now it's just perspective. So coming from that, the PhD has taken me a long way. It allows me to be confident and to know that nothing can stop me, because when I look at where I come from, where I come from, and just understanding, just how we grow up in the projects is not necessarily how you're supposed to grow up. But again, it does teach you fortitude. It does teach you to hustle and how to keep going no matter what.
Absolutely, absolutely. I definitely understand that. And you grew up seeing so much negativity in your surroundings. Poverty-stricken area. I've been around the New York City housing projects. I've lived in them, and it's particularly St. Nicholas projects. So was there a particular person or the village that raised you where you didn't fall victim to the crime and, just the negativity that you grew up seeing?
No, absolutely. And, it's different nowadays, because, I always salute the OGs that came up before me, because the street game was different. So if you weren't part of the street game, there wasn't a lure. Like, no one was telling you, come on, come sell crack, or come, deal drugs or whatever. There were people who would look at the youngins and say, why aren't you in school? Why aren't you doing this? So I grew up playing basketball. So I was known for, for playing ball, and I would go to tournament to tournament. So, I was protected sort of by the OGs who, the people who had had the street cred would protect me, and so I didn't have to get into get into the street life. You know, I dibble and dabbled a little bit, just trying to follow the lead. But even in those instances, there were the elders who were telling me, Ash, this is not you. You know, go to school. You know, and play ball, and they were telling me to do the right thing. So regardless of what their background was and what they did, and you know, in hindsight, they did some mean things. But
shout out to the OGs.
Absolutely.
And the elder.
Absolutely,
okay?
absolutely.
Shout out to
absolutely. And I give it up to them all the time, because again, if it wasn't for them, and I think part of it too was that because I saw it live and direct, like I was so close to it, I said, oh, this is not what I want. And I was able to choose. I was able to say, I think a lot of the kids growing up, a lot of people who don't necessarily have real access to the streets, they glorify it as if it's something to do. But even the people who are really in the streets don't really want to do that.
No, they don't.
They want to take care of their family. They want to be productive, people in society. So it's the elders and the OGs who looked out, and to this day, I always salute them. I always tip my hat, and I stand on the shoulders of those guys who kind of looked out for me.
Well, that's wonderful. And speaking of Harlem, you also have your own radio show in Harlem. Is that correct?
Yes. So
let's talk about that.
Yeah, every Sunday, 1 p.m., WHCR 90.3 FM. And it's called the Ash Cash Show. And really the goal of the Ash Cash Show is to, they call me the financial motivator, Mr. Mind Right, Money Right. And it's to motivate people to, look at their finances differently, but not just from a practical standpoint of savings, investing, but what is your mindset? What are the certain things that you're doing? How do you change your mindset to get your finances together? Because when you think about, whether you make $1,000, whether you make $1 million, I know people who make a lot of money who still live paycheck to paycheck. So it's not really about the money.
It's not about the amount.
Yeah, it's not about the money at all. It's really about the mindset. It's about what you do with the money. It's about understanding, how do you build wealth? What is really wealth building? And that's what the Ash Cash Show is about, is really focusing on helping people change their mindset as it relates to business, as it relates to finances, as it relates to just living financially free. And financial freedom means different things to different people.
And you said it's every Sunday from 1 to 2 p.m., right?
Yes, every Sunday, 1 p.m., WHCR 90.3 FM.
90.
And if you so you can listen to it, online as well. So if you have a mobile phone, you can go to the TuneIn app and download and just search for WHCR.
Now, during your radio show, do you take callers and that ask questions about financial literacy or anything about like that?
Absolutely. So the show is broken down. We normally have a guest come on, and if we don't have a guest, we have a topic that we specifically talk about. But we actually have a section called Ask Ash Cash, where people could call in. They could email their questions. They could send out their questions via social media. They can call in live. We had a lot of live callers who call in to ask questions. So it's really a show for the people, designed for the people to get their thoughts of, what are the information that they need to help change their mindset as it relates to money.
Okay, wonderful. And you are also a certified FICO professional.
Yes.
Which is a nationally recognized title.
Yes.
So did the government give you a certification? Can you talk more about that title?
Yep. So the FICO Pro is a certification. It's a national designation through a company called All Regs, which they certify people based on their knowledge of the FICO system. So the FICO system is what your credit score is in America, and it's broken down into the three top credit bureaus: TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. And what the FICO Pro designation says is that I fully understand the FICO system, how the FICO system works, the algorithms that control your FICO system, and it's a designation that I've used, especially I have a book out called What the FICO: 12 Steps to Repairing Your Credit, and in that book I talk specifically about how do you repair your credit. So it's definitely an honor to have a designation that can allow me to speak intelligently about what is credit, how do you fix credit. There are a lot of myths out there about credit, so it's my pleasure to spread that knowledge.
Okay, good. You're plethora of knowledge.
Absolutely,
I love it.
absolutely.
So what would you say are the top 3 strategies three simple things that someone can do to help boost their FICO score, their
Okay.
credit score.
All right. So really simple is that your FICO score is broken down into 5 sections or how you manage your score. So it's the 35, 30, 15, 10, 10. So 35% of your score is your payment history, 30% of your score is your usage ratio, 15% of your score is the length of history, 10% is any new credit you have, and the other 10% is your credit mix. So when you look at the top 2 things, 35% being your payment history and 30% being your usage ratio, if you focus on those 2 things, you can really get a boost to your credit score. So 35% is your payment history. So as long as you're paying all your bills on time, you're gonna help your credit score, boost your credit score. The 30% is your usage ratio, and what a lot of people don't know is that if you have a credit card, any revolving line of credit, you should not be using more than 30% of that. Which means that if you have a $1,000 credit card, you should pretend that your limit is $300. That's 30% of $1,000. Some people think as long as they don't go over that $1,000, they're good. But if you go over $300, you're actually negatively impacting your score. So that's tip number 2, is to make sure that you keep your credit card balances low.
Okay.
The third thing I would say is that a lot of people focus on collection items too much. So let's say if they had bad credit in the past, they want to boost their credit score up. The first thing they'll do is, let me go pay my collections off. Those don't necessarily build your credit, because credit is about your ability to pay back. So if you have something that showed that you haven't paid back, the way you combat that is by establishing new credit, right? So instead of taking, let's say if you owe a collection agency $1,000, instead of taking that $1,000 and paying that collection agency, which does nothing for your credit score, all it's going to show is that you had a collection and now it's paid off. You take that $1,000, you go to a bank and you say, hey bank, here's $1,000, give me a secured loan. Right, so you're taking that $1,000 that you would have paid the collection agency off with. You're giving the bank that $1,000. They're giving you a new loan now, and then that $1,000 you pay off the collection agency, and now you're paying back that new secured loan, and that's going to help that 35%. That 30% is going to help boost your score. So that's a tip it's a common mistake that people make.
It is very common, because I hear all the time how people say, I'm trying to clean up my credit, and I'm going to pay off these collections.
Yes.
So, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, that now I know from you that's the wrong thing
Absolutely.
to do.
And I get the thinking around it, because you think, okay, my credit is shot because I have, obligations that I don't owe, that I owe, that I haven't paid.
Right.
But if you really think about it, it's like, if I borrow $100 from you, Tina, and I never give it back to you, then 2 years later, I say, here, Tina, here's your $100. You don't have confidence in me. You're like, wait, 2 years? That's it? You don't have confidence in me. So now I have to rebuild that confidence. So if I said to you, here, 2 years later, I come to you, here, Tina, here's your $200, and I'm going to give you an extra $500 on top of that, and you just hold that $500. Now lend me $500. Then that's a little different. Now I'm rebuilding confidence, and that's the reason why you want to focus on establishing new credit opposed to just paying old debt off.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So let me ask you now. Tell me, would I be out of order if I asked you what your credit score was?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I'm in the 700s.
Oh, really? Me too.
Yes.
I make them like at 720.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, I'm popping. I'm
absolutely,
doing good.
absolutely. And then, when you look at, the highest score that you can get is an 850. So, that's my goal, to continue to build that 850. And when you think about the 5 categories, again, 35% is your payment history, 30% is your usage ratio, 15% is the length of history, 10% is the credit mix, and the other 10% is any new credit you have. Those 3, the length of credit history, you really can't control that, because that just gets better with time.
Right.
So that 15%, that's going to get better with time. If you have a good credit mix and you have any new credit, that's the other 20%. So eventually, if you just maintain it, you'll be able to hit that 850 score.
Okay, wonderful. Just plethora, like I said, just abundance of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Abundance.
Absolutely.
So I know that you have a little girl now.
Yes.
And how old is she?
She's 7 now.
She's 7.
Yes.
She's 7. You have a baby on the way.
Yes, I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And so what are you teaching your little girl now,
Yes.
even at 7 years old, about money, finance, and investing maybe? Because is her FICO score like at 850?
No, she doesn't have one yet, but she'll come out the gate definitely with an 850. You know, it's important for me to teach my daughter, and you know, I have a son on the way, but my children and anybody, you know, any kids I run across, the importance of entrepreneurship, the importance of owning something,
yes.
The importance of making your money work for you. So some of the things. So my daughter and I, we wrote a book together when she was 3 years old. So it's called Taylor's Way: Life Lessons Through the Eyes of a 3-Year-Old.
Yes.
And that book is really a book of, you know, it's a motivational book showing you how to tap into your inner child. But mainly why I wrote the book was because, you know, it's, you know, she's on the cover, it's her and I on the cover, and you know, now that she's of age, we've been to flea markets, and we sell the books, and you know, I show her about, you know, being an entrepreneur. She's excited at any time the book is out. You know, anytime we're out selling the book. So for me, it's just teaching her about business. You know, anytime I have, you know, she's been to meetings with me, she's been different places with me, because I want her to understand that, you know, there's nothing wrong with having a 9-to-5, because, you know, having a 9-to-5 is what has given me, you know, the opportunity to become an entrepreneur and to do some great things.
It supports your dream.
Absolutely. So there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, my philosophy in life is really, if you want true financial freedom, you have to control it, right? So if your 9-to-5 is your only source of income, then you're not really creating financial freedom.
Right.
You have to create multiple streams of income.
Yes.
And that's what I teach my daughter.
And even the Bible speaks about that
Absolutely.
too, multiple streams of income. And it's so wonderful that you're teaching her that now, even at 7 years old, because this is what the rich and wealthy do.
Absolutely.
They start teaching their kids when they are like just, you know, really small.
Absolutely.
So by the time they're 18, 21, 25 years old, they already know how to invest.
Exactly.
They know what to do with money. They know the difference between an asset and a liability. That's
Absolutely.
very important.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people don't know. People think, like a lot of people who grew up in poverty, they think that cars and clothes represents wealth, and it doesn't.
It doesn't, absolutely.
It does not.
And just a quick plug for World of Money. There's an organization called World of Money. So if you go worldofmoney.org, they actually teach kids, you know, from 7 to 14. They actually teach kids about financial literacy, and I'm putting my daughter, you know, this summer in the program, and it's a great program run by Sabrina Lamb, and you know, I have the pleasure of being on the junior board as well.
Of course,
so
you are.
You know, so but again, you know, it's helping exactly what you said. When you look at other cultures, they're teaching their kids very early. So a lot of us in our culture, we look at the summertime as a time for recess, a time to play, where other cultures, this is a time to teach their kids. You know, they have their kids work in their stores and their businesses, and teaching them about entrepreneurship, about money, about earning money too, about the value of money and the value of things, because things don't really have value, like you said. When you think about, you know, cars and clothes, you know, my wealthiest client that I've managed money for was worth $22 million. And if you looked at this guy, if you saw him, he did not look like quote unquote wealth, right? Because TV have us thinking that the guy, you know, in the Rolls Royce with the, you know, with the mink on is the guy who has the wealth, and that's absolutely false. I'm not saying that the guys who have Rolls Royces and minks don't have wealth, right? Because they may have wealth, but on average, the folks that I've seen who have money, they got, you know, holes in their jeans. They go to the shoe shop all the time and fix their shoes up. They drive Toyota Camrys.
But that's why they're wealthy. I've worked for rich entrepreneurs myself, and this one particular one I can remember, he wore the same thing every day, and he went to work. He drove to work like on a moped or something. And he wore the same thing every day. What he spent his money on was on vacation.
Right, absolutely.
So, because, you know, he's like, I work hard, but I'm going to play hard too.
Absolutely.
But he wore the same thing every single day. The same black jeans, the same black shirt.
No, absolutely. And there's a book, you know, called The Millionaire Next Door that talks about that the majority of millionaires become millionaires by living modestly. It's not about, you know, spending all of your money on things that make you look rich. You know know,
exactly.
you know, and that's the wrong mindset. And unfortunately, you know, if you look at our community, that's, you know, we try to mask the fact that we don't have money by trying to look rich outwardly.
Right, exactly.
And that's the wrong thing, because we need to start investing in assets, in real estate, in businesses, in, you know, investments, stocks and bonds, these things that we could pass down to our, we could pass down to our kids, and leave a legacy for them.
Right, and just to piggyback on what you just said, Steve Jobs, he wore the same black turtleneck. Every time he spoke, he wore the same black turtleneck. What's his name? Mark Zuckerberg, he wears the same gray T-shirt and the same gray sweatshirt. The same thing with the Microsoft guy. The
Bill
same
Gates.
blazer.
And these are all billionaires, though. Billionaires, absolutely.
These are billionaires, but they wear the same thing over and over again.
Warren Buffett still lives in the same house that he grew up in. So Warren Buffett is the second richest man in the whole entire world, and he still lives in the same house that he grew up in. Wow. He can buy an island if he wanted to, but yeah.
Several islands.
Absolutely.
Mind right, money right.
Yes.
That seems to be your motto. Now,
Absolutely.
Where did that come from?
And honestly, it was a you know, it was a song, Jay-Z and Memphis Bleak song.
You know what? That's what I was thinking about.
No, I mean it was a Jay-Z and Memphis Bleak song where they were talking about, you know, I got my mind right, money right. It was really the remix where you know, Jay-Z was just talking about, you know, the importance of getting your money right first before you could go to war. And
well, he
you know,
definitely got his money right.
Absolutely. And he's actually a big influence of mine. And so when I started to, you know, I love the song so much, and then when I started to study more, you know, I've read a lot of books, Richest Man in Babylon, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, all these books that pointed to the proper way to fix your finances is to fix your mind first.
Right.
So I knew, you know, I needed to write a book that was geared towards, you know, my demographic, my population, and as I began to write the book, I was like, what title can I write? What title is going to resonate with the people? Mind right, money right.
Mind right,
Get
money
your mind right, money right, ready for war.
That's right. That is right.
And it's the financial war we're talking about. We're talking about the financial war.
Not physical,
yeah,
financial war.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yes.
And you are a national best-selling author.
Yes.
You've written 3 books.
Yes.
And Mind Right, Money Right, 10 Laws of Financial Freedom.
Yes.
Taylor's Way, Life Lessons Through the Eyes of a 3-Year-Old.
Yes.
And What the FICO.
Yes.
Not What the F, but What the FICO. 12 Steps to Repairing Your Credit.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure you're working on a 4th book.
Yes, and it's funny because simultaneously I'm writing 2 books that'll be released in 2015. One is a partnership with Wahida Clark, actually. So Wahida Clark is a 4-time New York Times bestselling author, and you know, her and I have partnered to write a book called The Formula: How to Make Millions as a Self-Published Author. So our goal is to help. Absolutely. So our goal is to help people understand. So me from a business perspective, her from a creative perspective, how do you write a book as a self-published person? How do you write a book to make millions? And I won't give too many tips from the book yet.
Of course, because we want it to sell.
But really, when you think about the game and how it changes now, there's no longer a gatekeeper. You know, before you had to be part of a big, a big publishing house to sell a lot of books to make money. But now you are your own PR.
Exactly.
You have direct access to everybody. So that's one of the books. And then, you know, as being the financial motivator, you know, I have what I call the daily word, inspirational blast that I do every day, and I have a lot of traction through, you know, my daily word, my motivation piece, and I feel like I haven't done anything significant yet, you know, as far as products and books towards
serious?
but towards my motivational side.
Are you kidding me?
So I want to put out a book.
Motivational
Yeah, my
side.
motivational
Okay,
side. That's what
okay,
I mean.
okay.
You know, the motivational speaker
Don't
in
be
me.
too modest
No.
now.
I mean, yeah, from the motivational side. So I'm working on a book called Mind Right, Life Right.
Okay.
You know, 10 steps to living the best possible life, and it's really a book focused on 10 essential steps that you need to take in order to live a holistic life, the best possible life that you could possibly live.
Because it starts with your mind.
Absolutely. Everything starts with your mind.
Everything starts with your mind. You get your mind right, your money will be right.
Yep.
Your finances will be right, your family.
Absolutely.
Motivation, everything is because it starts with your mind.
That's a fact. Absolutely.
Oh, And so now I recently saw you on a Rush Card commercial.
Yes.
And it was like the perfect timing because it was like right in the middle of tax season, which we're still in tax season. But I saw it. So tell me about the relationship between you and Rush Card.
Yeah, so it's a great it was a great partnership. So at first I had to think hard about the partnership because as you know, in the past there's been a lot of the Rush Card has gotten a lot of flack from many financial advisors. Many people would say, why would you pay money? Why would you pay a prepaid card for your own money? And for me, when the opportunity arose, it was a great opportunity to tap into a market who uses a prepaid card because of they may owe child support, they may owe back taxes, they may have barriers that are stopping them from becoming part of the financial system, and we can't turn our backs to those folks because just because they have a bump in the road, they still need that financial education. So I was happy to do it. It was a great partnership. We're probably going to do some more work together around financial literacy because when you think about how many members they have a lot of people who subscribe to those cards. And again, as a 15-year banking professional, I know that many people who want to have bank accounts, they can't necessarily do it if they owe child support, if they have debts out there that if they put their money in a bank, a creditor is just going to take it. So they want to be part of the financial system. So this is a way, and not saying that it's the only way, but it's definitely an option. And if you look now, everybody's getting into the prepaid game. American Express has a prepaid card, Chase has a prepaid card, all these major banks.
Card.
Yeah, so
I love my Rush Card.
Exactly. And so I think that the Rush Card got a lot of flack because it was one of the first to do it, and people didn't really understand it. But now that there's an understanding of why there's a necessity to have a prepaid card, there's more acceptance in it. So again, it's a great partnership that I enjoy.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming here on Gold Digger TV.
Yes, my pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Such an honor to have you here on
Likewise,
our show.
thank you.
And to learn more about Ash Cash, and all his endeavors, log on to IamAshCash.com. That's IamAshCash.com. I'm Tina Lee Jones, and you have been watching Gold Digger TV.
Thank you so much.